Luke Cage, Marvel's third Netflix show after Daredevil and Jessica Jones. So I just finished watching the entire series of Luke Cage last night, and I just wanted to give my thoughts and such about the show. This isn't a review, this isn't a reaction video. It's more of a vlog, me giving my thoughts and somewhat opinion about the show. So first of all, I really enjoyed this show. Just like Jessica Jones and Daredevil, it's really well made, and it's really, really enjoyable. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Go watch the first 3 episodes. I want to say after you watch the first 3 episodes, you should be hooked to the show. Hopefully, it's really good. Like I said, if you enjoyed Daredevil and Jessica Jones, you're really gonna enjoy this show. I mean, all three shows are really different and stand out from each other, which is a good thing. So you might not completely enjoy this one, but it's a really good show, so I would advise anyone to go check it out. Alright, so Luke Cage, if you don't know anything about the Luke Cage or the show, if you're just going into it blind and you don't want to know anything about it, I'm probably going to talk mild spoilers, just plot stuff, not huge plot stuff, but some insight on it. Luke Cage, or this version of Luke Cage, was introduced in the show Jessica Jones, and he played a fairly important part in the show. So after that show, he ended up moving back to Harlem, which he's originally from Georgia in the show, but Harlem is where his pretty much the last of his family is at. So he moves to Harlem to hide away, and in the beginning of the show, Luke Cage, he's just kind of trying to blend in, or he doesn't want to stand out. He has these amazing powers, which his power set, if you know, is he's really strong. He can lift a lot of stuff and bend metal and whatnot, and he has near indestructible skin, stronger than metal, so he can punch through walls or even some metal things. I'm not sure how powerful he is, but he's really powerful. So like I said, he's just kind of hiding out. He doesn't want people to know who he is, or to know he has these powers or whatnot, because he's running from his past. Some bad things happened in his past, and he's kind of hiding because of them. They explain him in the show, which I think they kind of just implied him in Jessica Jones, or they didn't really go into it. But they do explain his backstory, his origin and whatnot, and why he wants to hide out and not be seen. So, he's working at this barbershop where he has 2 jobs. He's he's barely able to pay rent. He's working 2 jobs, and only in the beginning of this show, only one person he talks to knows about his powers, and this guy's he's really important to him. He's always telling him, you should do something with these powers. You have them. You can help people. You can do something. You can help the community. You can make a difference. But Luke, like I said, he's just trying to hide, and he doesn't want to do anything, he doesn't want to use his powers. He's like, I just want to live a life where I'm not noticed. I don't want people to know anything about me. I want to stay quiet. And eventually, obviously, because if nothing happened, it'd be a really, really boring show. But he ends up, having to use his powers, and then through the series, he decides that, yeah, I'm going to use my powers to help people. I have them. I can help people. So, that's pretty much the gist of the show, or at least in the beginning. He has plenty of villains that he fights. They're just no one really with powers, or somewhat. No one's born with powers or has powers. But throughout the show, some people are able to get some technology, so they're able to actually fight Luke Cage, which he has to handle. The cast is really good in this show. Mike Colter as Luke Cage is amazing. One of the lines in the show is someone says he's Harlem's Captain America, which he really comes off as this great, amazing person. He's kind, and you can tell he cares about people, and he has this aura about him. He can't be intimidated. He wants to do good. He's just a good person. He doesn't. One of the things he does is he doesn't cuss. He'll say "Sweet Christmas." That's one of his kind of instead of cussing, he'll say that. So he's this really great, amazing guy, and Mike Colter does a great job of playing this character. He was really good in Jessica Jones, but obviously that show was more focused on Jessica Jones. So, but the parts he was in, he was good. But he really just knocks it out of the park in this show. One of the other characters, Misty Knight. She's also a comic book character. She's a detective in the show. She's played by Misoun Mystique, I think. She's also really good. There's a lot of great actors in this show, first of all. But Mike Coulter and Simone Mystique, that they have mostly the two biggest parts besides the villains in this show. She is also really, really good as a Misty Knight. At first, when I first started watching the show, I knew she was in it, but I didn't know what kind of role she was going to play in it. So I was kind of surprised. She plays a really big, substantial role. She's really important to the show. And she's kind of like a cop. She meets Luke Cage before, all this bad stuff starts going down. And, well, I don't want to get to spoilers, but she's kind of on the fence, Sometimes she's trusting Luke Cage, and other times she's like, I don't know who this guy is, he could be a criminal or something like that. So that's kind of like throughout the show. At first she's like, oh, Luke Cage is a good guy, and then, bad stuff starts happening and people start blaming Luke Cage for some of the bad stuff or whatever. And she's kind of like on the fence. She's like, I don't know what to believe, because she's a police officer, so she shouldn't be rooting for a vigilante. So she's torn by that. She's like, well, you shouldn't be doing that because you should go through the law. But Luke Cage always argues, it's like the police do a good job, but there are plenty of things that you guys cannot do. I can break into a drug building, and put them down out of operation within hours, and it could take you guys years to do that. So she's kind of torn by that because throughout the show, she does everything or mostly everything by the book, and most of the time it fails, and she gets frustrated by that. So she's kind of torn by that. She's like, Luke Cage is this good guy, or when she trusts him, because like I said, she kind of flip flops on the issue depending on the situations to go on throughout the show. She's like, this is a good guy. He's doing good for the community, but at the same time, he's not doing it within the law, which he should be doing. And a lot of times she talks to him. She's like, well, you should work within the law or try to work with the law. But it's one of those things where the law is complicated in real life and in the show, where it's like the law doesn't always work out. There's not always justice. These criminals, they have all this money and power. They can get away with stuff a lot of the time. So it's really interesting. Like I said, this is really great show. The main villain in the beginning is Cottonmouth. I don't remember who plays him, but he does a really good job. He's like this gangster who owns this big club, and he operates out of it. And I really like this villain because you could tell he's somewhat of a good guy. And throughout the show, they show you that he wasn't meant to be a gangster, but his family kind of put him in that position to inherit the streets and become this big powerhouse in it. But he's this really talented musician, and he kind of has a heart, but his heart's been corrupted and distorted over time because of his childhood and whatnot. And you see aspects of that, and he kind of like slowly through the show he starts falling apart because, like I said, he's not meant to be a criminal. He should have been, this great musician or something else in his life. But like I said, he was put in these circumstances where he didn't have a choice but to live this kind of lifestyle, and now he's kind of stuck. And he's good at it, but at the same time, like I said, sometimes when people die, like he cares about the people of Harlem. He really does. He might run guns and everything like that, but he does care about the people for the most part. And he somewhat helps them. But sometimes some people die that he cares about, and it frustrates him and it makes him angry. And you can tell it hurts him emotionally and everything. And he kind of starts breaking down because of that, because he can't handle it. When everything's going great, he's good, but as soon as things start going downhill, it's just like it becomes too much for him, the pressure and everything. So he's a really interesting character, and I really liked his portrayal and everything. One of the other characters I really wanted to mention was Rosario Dawson, who plays Claire Temple. She's kind of the connection, like Phil Coulson was to the Avengers initially, where she connects all the shows. She's been in all the shows. She played somewhat big parts in Daredevil, somewhat of a small part in Jessica Jones, and she was pretty big in this show. I thought she might play a little part because I knew she was going to be in it, but I don't know how big her part was going to be. kind of like Misty Knight, but she plays a pretty substantial role, and she was really good. And one of the things that kind of frustrated me about her character, annoyed me, well, there's a few times where, like I said, Luke Cage kind of gets in trouble with the law and whatnot. And she mentioned, she's like, oh, well, I know a great lawyer or attorney. She says it like a couple of times through the series. And she's talking about Matt Murdock, Daredevil, who she knows, because she knows Jessica Jones and Daredevil. So it's just like, it's kind of one of those, like, Easter eggs. Like, hey, the Defenders is coming. If you know, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Iron Fist are going to come together to form the Defenders in a series, I believe, sometime next year. Next year comes out Iron Fist and then the Defenders. So they kind of, let you know, like, hey, Defenders is almost here. So it kind of frustrated me. Or it was cool, but at the same time, I was like, don't tease me. Don't tease me about the Defenders. Like, man, I wanted to see Daredevil and Luke Cage team up, but all in good time. Let them have their individual shows and then the big Defenders show. So it's a really great show. Another thing that connects it to the overall Marvel universe is the Avengers incident. In the first Avengers movie, New York is attacked by the aliens, the Chitauri, and everything. That's mentioned throughout the show, and that's some of the stuff that's used to make the technology they can, that they use to fight against Luke Cage to try to get an equal ground. So it's that connection. I wish there was a bigger connection with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that. That's something that I've always felt that's missing. Because they, a little bit later on the show, it's not really a spoiler, but there's like this councilwoman who's a big part of the show, but I didn't mention her. She kind of tries to use the platform of these powered individuals being evil, and we need weapons and stuff to fight against them. So with the Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I kind of felt like that would have been a perfect connection to somewhat mention the Inhumans. And I don't know if they allude to them because they're like, powered individuals. So I don't know if that's what they're talking about and they just don't know the term Inhumans, or if they're just talking about the Avengers. So it's I really wish there was a bigger connection, maybe with the Defenders or something like that, but I guess we'll see. The ending of the show had somewhat of a cliffhanger. It wasn't like, oh my God, what the heck's gonna happen? I need to know. I can't wait for the next season, which we don't know when the next season's gonna come out because they make 2 Netflix shows or Marvel Netflix shows a year. So next year, like I said, it's Iron Fist and the Defenders, and then after that, I think it's Daredevil and Jessica Jones season 2. They haven't announced Luke Cage season 2, but this is a good show. So if it does just as well as those shows, we'll definitely get a second season. I really do hope they get a second season because they set it up set up a couple of villains and stuff for the second season, so I'm really excited. But there's a somewhat of a cliffhanger. Like I said, it's not a oh my gosh what's gonna happen, but I feel like with the Defenders coming out, they're gonna, the main kind of cliffhanger thing they're gonna resolve during the Defenders because they kind of have to. One of the things I really liked about this show was the music. Like, I'm not a big music person. Like, I couldn't tell you what's good music or bad music, but I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And I know I really like the music in this. It was just really good. And the show had a lot of cameos by musicians because, like I said, Cottonmouth has, or I don't know if I mentioned it, he has a club where he runs all his illegal activities out of, and it's kind of like a music club and everything. So a lot of the times where he's talking business or something, they'll have bands practicing, like, because he has like his top or second floor kind of base of operations, I guess you can say, and then on the bottom floors where it's like the dance hall and everything and the musicians play. So they have a lot of cameos of musicians, practicing or playing when the club is open. So they have cameos like that. So like I said, the music is really, really good in the show, and it's like it kind of plays a big important, or it feels like it's an important part of the show, or kind of like it's a character. Like, music is important in every show and every movie, but I really felt like it was really important to this show. One of the musician cameos in this show was Method Man. He kind of popped up, and when he first popped up, I was like, what is he doing here? Because it was like a really obvious like cameo. Like Luke Cage acknowledges him because he plays himself in this cameo, And then Method Man's like, oh, you're the dude who's been on TV, because by this time Luke Cage has been all over the internet and everything because of his exploits. He's like, oh, you're that guy, and they show each other respect. Like, oh, you're awesome, whatever. And I'm like, that's cool. I mean, it's Method Man and everything, but I'm like, what's the point? Which there is a point. Like a couple of scenes later, you kind of see why he was in the show. But when he first popped out, I'm like, well, okay, so what was the point of that? Just to be like, hey, it's Method Man, he's awesome, So I thought that was funny. But like I said, he does play kind of an important role for his cameo. So I mean, that's pretty much it. It's like I said, it's a really, really good show. We live in this era where we have all these great comic book shows. DC is knocking it out of the park with Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow is okay. They had Constantine, which I really liked. I kind of hope they had more seasons. But Marvel has these great shows on Netflix. They had Agent Carter, which I somewhat enjoyed. I wish it would get it last season. And they have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. currently running, which it's an okay show. It doesn't seem to, or it can't hit those tones and everything. Like, there's a lot of episodes that are really good. The characters, for the most part, are really good and likable. But it never gets as good as these Netflix shows. And if you haven't seen any of them, yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend them. Go check them out. They're really, really good. Like I said, besides that, it's a great show. There's a lot of good stuff in it. Like I said, if you watched other, Daredevil and Jessica Jones, check this one out. It's just as good. And it's totally different. All three shows have these different vibes, and you can tell just by watching one episode each. And Luke Cage is definitely different. It's different, but it's in a good way, And at the same time, you can tell these worlds are connected. So, like I said, I recommend it. Go check it out. Great show. Really enjoyed it. Fun. I mean, I powered through it like in 2 days, because that's one of the good things about Netflix and these shows. They're kind of set up to be binge watched. So I binge watched it as much as I could, Friday and yesterday, Saturday, and I finished it off Saturday night. So great show. All right. Thanks for watching if you watched this, and like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.